Above a gorge on the Apurimac River, a bridge is rebuilt from koya grass in 3 days. The old crossing drops toward the water, while new fibers become a Qeswachaka cable, pulled tight by hands, stone anchors, and tension. No iron beams, no wheeled carts, no draft teams dragging huge loads across the Andes, just rope, stone, slope, memory, and people who know exactly when to pull. That bridge points to the Inca solution, not one missing invention, but a working system of terrain knowledge, labor, rope, stone, and a 30,000-kilometer road. This is Stickman History. The missing wheel is not the story, the replacement system is. So if wheels did not move the heavy things, what did? Hold that question until the road stops looking like a path and starts looking like a machine. From that bridge, zoom out to the Andes, because this is where the usual engineering story starts to fail. We often assume serious construction needs iron tools, wheeled carts, and animals pulling heavy loads. That assumption feels reasonable on flat land, where wheels roll, animals pull, and roads behave like long floors. But Tawantinsuyu was not flat land. It was ridges, drops, river cuts, thin ledges and slopes that keep turning under your feet. A cart does not love stairs, mud, ravines, or switchbacks. So the Inca answer was not to copy the cart world badly. It was to design a mountain system very well. That matters because the episode is not about a society without technology. It is about a society choosing tools that fit a brutal landscape. Wait, what if the missing wheel actually forced a smarter fit with the mountain? Road turns, labor turns, and bridge renewal turns start replacing the smooth spin of an axle. Keep that word in your head, turns. A clean map line from Cusco makes the Qhapaq look simple. But during 15th century Tawantinsuyu consolidation, from the 1400s into the 1500s, that network reached its largest form. More than 30,000 kilometers of roads and associated structures crossed mountains, deserts, valleys, and jungle edges, but the real system was not just a line on a map. It was stairs where carts would fail, retaining walls where slopes wanted to slide, bridges where rivers cut the path, and drainage where rain could destroy everything. Here is the turn. When carts cannot do the work, the road has to do more than carry traffic. The road is the machine when carts cannot do the work. It guides feet, breaks slopes into climbable pieces, and makes movement predictable in terrain that wants chaos. Remember the Qeswachaka cable we opened with? It is not a charming side detail. It is the small version of the whole logic. Rope solves ravines, roads solve distance, and turns replace the smooth rolling line of a wheel. And because every bridge frays, every stair erodes, and every route needs care, the system also needed renewal, inspection, and organized work. Tension was not just in the rope, it was in the coordination that kept the road alive. At Machu Picchu, the postcard view is almost a trap. You see tight stone joints, and it is easy to imagine lost tools or rock-softening secrets. But the evidence-backed mechanism is more physical and honestly more impressive. Stone is quarried, dressed, tested, adjusted, and fitted without mortar, using skilled labor and local materials. Stone-on-stone methods leave dust, impact marks, and tiny corrections, not glowing mystery powder. That is why the lost tools myth gets weaker once you slow the process down. A wall can look impossible when you only stare at the final joint. But if you watch the sequence, the trick is repeated correction. No magic is needed for the wall to be hard. The hard part is patience, coordination, and fit. And then Machu Picchu pulls another weight. What? The famous masonry is not the whole machine. A MS radiocarbon dates place occupation around 1420 to around 1530. But the survival story is not just the date. The survival story is water. Machu Picchu terraces hold slopes, create farming space, and move water through the mountain instead of letting it rip the ridge apart. Under the visible walls, terraces, foundations, drainage layers, and ridge planning do the quiet work. So remember that word fit from Chapter 1. At Machu Picchu, fit is not only between two stones. It is between stone, water, slope, and the people maintaining the whole site. The mountain is not just the obstacle, it is part of the design. On a route north toward Saraguro, the delayed question finally comes back. If wheels did not move the heavy things, what did? The careful answer is not one tool, it is organized labor, rope, road planning, terrain knowledge, local materials, and repeated turns of work. Think of it less like one heroic pull and more like many controlled handoffs. One team prepares the path, another guides the load, another repairs the turn that just failed. And because the mountain keeps changing, the work has to keep adjusting. The Saraguro stones matter here because they point to long-distance ambition and state power. But here is the strange part. They also force us to be careful. The stones are real. The exact route and method are not a finished cartoon. Maybe the movement used prepared paths, staged labor, ropes, slopes, and choices we can only partly reconstruct. That uncertainty is not weakness. It is what happens when stone survives better than rope, bodies, ramps, and shouted timing. Back to the 30,000 kilometers road, because now it no longer looks like scenery. It looks like infrastructure that turns human effort into repeatable movement. A Saraguro stone does not need a wheel if the whole route is built around human pace, rope tension, and slope. That same route logic helps explain why roads, bridges, terraces, and labor belong in one answer. The pieces were never separate tricks. Rope solved ravines, terraces solved slopes, roads and labor solved distance. The cable, the road, and the Saraguro stone all answer the same mountain problem. The Inca did not lack engineering, they engineered around the missing wheel. Back to Qeswachaka, the object we started with. The bridge was not built once and forgotten. In 2013, the Qeswachaka renewal tradition was inscribed by UNESCO as intangible heritage because the object is still a practice. People keep making the cable, so the cable keeps making the crossing. That same Qeswachaka cable now carries the whole episode differently. At the start, it looked like grass stretched over the Qhapaq River. Now it looks like a system. Fiber, stone, labor, and landscape doing work that iron and wheels never had to do. That cable is the episode in miniature. It shows that technology is not just the tool you have. It is the fit between the tool, the people, and the place. Remember the 30,000 kilometers road, the Machu Picchu terraces, and the Saraguro stone. They were not side quests, they were the answer unfolding at different scales. Fiber solved the gap above the river. Terraces held the wet mountain in place. Roads and labor turned distance into a schedule. And a Saraguro stone reminded us that power can be measured in the ability to move what should not move easily. The Inca answer was not one invention, it was a system built around the mountain. This raises a harder question. If rope and stone could hold an empire together, what happened when horses, steel, and paper records entered the same mountains? We follow the engineering details that turn ancient stories into systems you can see. Which trade-off would you trust more in the Andes? Iron tools and carts, or a system built around rope, stone, labor, and the shape of the mountain? See you next time.